Welcome to Van Life with Steve, and thank you so very much for joining me for a visit to Badlands National Park in southwestern South Dakota. As we take in the view from the big Badlands Overlook, let's go over a quick summary of the park, and then I'll tell you about the mistake I made. Badlands was established as a national park in 1979 after previously being designated as a national monument back in 1939, and there is a bit of controversy about the U.S. government's ownership over the land and the Lakota people, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Last year the park saw about 1 million annual visitors, although I experienced absolutely no problem with crowding when I visited the park in August of 2022. I do feel like the park does lack an iconic landmark when you think in terms of something like Half Dome or Old Faithful. However, it does offer you a magic moment, which would be sunset from a variety of the viewpoints, and I will show that to you in a few minutes here in the video. The park does offer surprisingly good wildlife viewing opportunities. The boondocking is amazing. The hiking there is a little bit unique. I think the formal trails, there's only one, the Castle Trail, that's really long. However, the other formal trails are actually kind of short, but because there's constant erosion in the park, you're actually able to basically hike anywhere you see. You will have a decent amount of cell service along the scenic drive. I would recommend budgeting at least an entire day to go on a couple of the hikes and to complete the scenic drive, which is 30 miles long and takes about an hour. The nearest town is Wall, South Dakota, and therein is located the famous Wall Drug tourist trap. My recommendation for the park is it's a very, very good park. I can't say it's a destination park, meaning you go there just to see it. However, if you're going there and seeing the park, in addition to seeing the Black Hills, going to the park is an absolute no-brainer. And I do want to stress, Badlands is a very, very good park. Now, for the mistake I made when visiting the park, I had wanted to check out the nuclear missile silo. As we zoom in on South Dakota here, these white formations here, that's the Badlands, and then to the west is the Black Hills, and I will cover that in subsequent videos, the Black Hills. But zooming in on Badlands, not too far from Wall, there's a Minuteman missile silo that I wanted to check out. As I trace out the scenic drive here, that Minuteman silo actually closes fairly early in the morning. When I was there, it closed at 3, and maybe it closes at 4. And after I saw the overlooks, I kind of decided I wasn't big on hiking, and so I decided to leave the park to go see the missile silo. However, when you enter from the northeast entrance station, as you pass Big Badlands and continue south on the scenic drive, you're going to come across this really big parking lot, and it's the trailhead for 4 different trails, and including, as we zoom in here, the Notch Trail, which is the signature hike of Badlands National Park. And the missile silo was really cool, but I think it was a big mistake on my part not to hike on this trail. And when you visit the park, I would recommend that you maybe do sunrise at Big Badlands and then head south to that parking lot and hit the Notch Trail and then knock out all the other trails in the morning before it gets too hot. So the mistake I made was thinking I had seen enough of the park and leaving so I could make it to the nuclear missile silo before it closed, instead of taking the time to go hike the Notch Trail. The first of the trails I did complete was the Cliff Shelf Nature Trail, and this is a nice, easy half-mile trail. It's through like a little boardwalk through kind of a more woodsy kind of area of the Badlands, and I really like this trail because I made a little friend. We'll meet him or her in just a minute. But first, if you're enjoying this content, I'd appreciate it so much if you'd give me a like. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos, and turn on the bell for notifications. And if I haven't convinced you so far, I've left chapters in this video that you can scrub through the timeline, and I highly recommend you at least watch the end of this section and also watch the section on the Bison. So thank you so much, and let's get back to the nature trail. The Cliff Shelf Nature Trail may not be the most intense hike there is. However, it did give me an opportunity to come across what I believe is a black-tailed deer, and this guy was super friendly and very photogenic. Of course, please do not approach any wildlife in a national park, and please do not feed them. Following the nature trail, the second hike I ventured on was the Fossil Exhibit Trail. The Badlands area used to be an inland sea before the landscape was uplifted, and it's actually within the park there's a fairly important fossil record. There's fossils of ancient alligators, camels, horses, even rhinos, and you can view some of those on this trail. However, when I was there, I noticed the sun started setting, and I figured that sunset might be something really special here, so I needed to get a little bit higher up. So unfortunately, I'm sorry I don't have better pictures of any fossils. Sunset at Badlands is absolute magic, so I'll be brief here and I'll just say that while the park does lack a definite icon, because there are so many different formations, if you're a photographer, you can really get out here, and because of the variety, you can get out here and really play with the landscape and create some unique compositions, much more than, say, the Molten Barn at Grand Teton, where there's only so many ways you can photograph that barn. But out here, because there's so many different sandstone structures and everything, you can pretty much find a unique photo pretty much anywhere you look. But that's all I'm going to say on this subject. Let's just enjoy the sunset. After the sun dropped below the horizon, I did set up around the yellow dunes for some astrophotography. It was kind of strange being out here all by myself at night, so I only have the one shot, which is a stack of multiple exposures. It was really wild to be able to see the Milky Way with just your naked eyes out here, because it's such a dark sky, because you're so far away from civilization. So I'm pretty proud of that shot. And also because I let nighttime come, I didn't have an opportunity to boondock, because you don't want to roll up into a non-paved area at night with your van because you have poor visibility. So I overnighted in Wall. The next morning, I entered the park through the Pinnacle Entrance that's on the northwest section of the park, and I believe those were some pronghorn there at the beginning of this clip. And as I was entering the park, I came around these guys right here, which is of course the North American bison, and this fella right here seems like he has an itch he just has to scratch. So hopefully this big guy here was able to get himself some relief. So of course you're looking at the North American bison, which is the largest land animal in North America. They can grow to be over 6 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weigh up to 2,800 pounds. Now, while they may look like fluffy cows, these guys are wild animals. They can run up to 35 miles an hour, and they can turn on a dime. So do not approach them. I'm using a super telephoto lens, and the park recommends you stay 25 yards away or 75 feet, which is about a basketball court. And I maintained and kept that distance in all of these shots. So do not approach them. You see that guy, he just gave us a warning. They're great animals to admire from afar, but do not approach them. Now, once numbering in the tens of millions in the past, the bison was famously hunted to near extinction in the 1800s, and I believe there's now about 150,000 bison in North America. Seeing these guys, I couldn't help but think of the stampede scene in Dances with Wolves, and I was not surprised actually to find out that portions of that Oscar-winning film starring Kevin Costner were shot within Badlands National Park. So that was a neat bit of trivia to learn. There are approximately 1,000 bison within Badlands National Park, and all of these guys are descendants of the original 50 bison that were introduced from Theodore Roosevelt National Park that is located in North Dakota. I think it's probably, in this guy's case, it's to get the insects off him, but what you're seeing here is called wallowing. And bison do it for a variety of reasons, to show off their strength, but also to keep insects off of them. As this big fella here struggles to get himself up and gets ready to go out and eat after he shakes himself off, we're going to say goodbye to the bison, and we're going to move along to our friends, the adorable prairie dog. So I'd done pretty much zero research on the park before visiting, and I had no idea the kind of animals I were going to see. And it's great seeing the bison, great seeing the deer, but prairie dogs are just absolutely one of the cutest animals you'll ever see in their life. They are so funny, and their little squeal they have is hilarious. Prairie dogs are a form of ground squirrel, similar to like a chipmunk or a marmot, and of course they're known for their burrows that they dig and the prairie dog towns that they form. And apparently they have some pretty sophisticated communication abilities, and they're able to distinguish between different humans. So I imagine they're sitting there gossiping about a strange man with a camera right now as we watch this video. But it's almost, when they come out of their burrows eating their grass, it's almost like they're gossiping amongst each other, and they're watching us as much as we're watching them. And with that, we'll say goodbye to the adorable black-tailed prairie dogs. For the rest of the video, I'm going to show you the rest of the overlooks on the Badlands Scenic Drive. The yellow mounds here, that's kind of at the halfway point of the scenic drive. I was really impressed with just the differences in color and everything. So this is a really neat area to check out within the park. So while finishing up the scenic drive, I ran across a female bighorn sheep and her lamb. It's a lot of fun fighting these guys. As we head out of the park here, I do want to reiterate that Badlands is an absolutely terrific park, and you should definitely come out here and see it in combination with a trip to the Black Hills. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I thank you for the opportunity to share this with you, and until I see you in the next video, take care. Thanks. Bye.